Guys, welcome to Careers Uncorked. I'm Sid.
And I'm Sharpus. Sid, how's your Wednesday today? Because I had a long day at work and I've been looking forward to this episode like the whole day today.
Wednesdays are usually like the best part of the week because it's almost crawling up to Friday. But this Wednesday is like extra special.
Yeah, dude, what is time anymore, man? What's the difference anymore, right? Yeah, like every day is the weekend. But dude, like I've been like super excited for our session today because I know this is a topic we both really care about, which is marketing and personal branding. And I think this is something you have had way more experience with after college, right?
Yeah, it's definitely something I learned later on in the game. And I wish I started a lot earlier. Right. I'm sure a lot of people who are viewing today feel the same way. But that's something I'm really excited to hear about from someone who's actually been doing this for a long time.
Yeah, and it's someone very special because she's actually one of our team members, and she is somebody me and Sid we had the chance of working with for the last few months, and she has such a great insight. She's super passionate about marketing and just brand development and just understanding how to bring out the best brand image out of individuals and out of companies. So I'm super excited, Sid. Why don't we go ahead and bring our guest today, Aliye, to the stage?
All right, perfect. And I'll make sure not to freeze on you like last time.
Yeah, you not do that. That was kind of not okay.
All right.
I'm trying to get over that.
Hey, Aliye, how's it going?
Hello, I'm good. How are you guys doing?
We are doing great. It's so awesome to see you. This is the second time this week?
Yeah. Fourth, eighth,
Yeah.
Yeah, we just don't get tired of talking about marketing to you.
Right.
So the only difference is we're on a live stream with a live audience, so no pressure.
Okay. Little nervous.
All right, so let's get us kicked off here. So Ali, I want you to tell our audience a little bit about yourself, your background, and what you're doing right now.
Great. Yeah. So I graduated from the U of R in May of last year, same as Sharfuz. And I created a degree at the U of R called Digital Communications. I studied abroad in London at a video production firm. I don't know if you guys even know that. Surprise. When I was at the U of R, and I also created this major, DIY'd it, because there weren't any degrees that I wanted to do from the U of R. Sorry, guys. And what else? So then I went on to do a Berkeley program called Experiential at UC Berkeley, which was really focused on digital storytelling and marketing, kind of like a deep dive. And then I worked in Dublin through that program for 3 months as a marketer at a small startup. And now I'm living in Cambridge. Sharfuz is just down the street. We wave at each other on our FaceTimes because we're the same state.
Lots apart.
And right now, because of COVID, I'm doing freelance web design, digital strategy. I'm actually doing a lot of crisis strategy of having to transition businesses from in-person events and services to online. So I'm doing a lot of Zoom hosting, the Zoomer generation, before it was cool. So yeah, it's actually really interesting. My mom said, "Oh, you should do freelance web design and other, freelance digital full time." And I was like, I don't want to. And then COVID happened and I was like, okay, here we go, because there was a need. So yeah, it's been really great.
That's really interesting to hear, especially I like the ending of that, when there's need, you actually need to sort of move along with that as opposed to restrict yourself from doing that. So that's really interesting.
Exactly.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Oh yeah, thanks for sharing all that. And I think there's so much that's so many strings of some incredible experiences, and especially I love how you just stepped out of your far and you had such incredible experience in London, in Europe as well. So I guess one thing I'm always curious to just learn about people is when you look back at college, what are some of the most significant experiences you think shaped you for who you are today?
That's such a tough question. I would say all of it. Is that too cliche?
You gotta be specific.
What'd you say?
You have to be a little more specific.
Okay, fine.
Top 3.
But throwing it back to like way beginnings, I actually only applied to the U of R. I didn't apply anywhere else because I loved the open curriculum, and I actually was interested in the interdepartmental degree program, like making your own major, before I was admitted to the U of R, which is pretty cool. That I ended up actually doing that. But I would say that creating my own major really was just like it changed my life, which is so cliche, but I was so happy to be in a place where I could do what I wanted and like shift isn't the right word, create the path that I wanted to take. So I think that making my own major was definitely the most, that like really made my experience, but it also was so hard. It was not, I thought it was going to be easier than it was, and then it was not.
That's I gotta say that's crazy, because I think so I did computer science. I did a BA with computer science, and I remember we have to do like, Sid, you did the same too, right? We had to take like 5 or 6 electives for our degree, right? I think we changed those 6 electives 36 times. Like I couldn't decide like which electives to take. I kept on changing it. I think I changed classes like every semester. So how did you like even go about just knowing what classes to pick for this interdepartmental degree? And like tell us more about that.
Yeah, so the interdepartmental degree is pretty interesting. For me, like I would say that my college experience, all the classes that I took the entire time were all like kind of moving towards the same goal. I had a minor in American Sign Language, and I've signed since I was little. So that was like that was a passion of mine. That's actually what brought me to the U of R, is the ASL program. And then I decided I did want to do that. And then I did a site cluster and a web design cluster. Fun fact, Sharfuz and I were in the same web design class. We just found out. Was that yesterday? 2 days ago?
Yeah. I think it was 2 days ago.
Right. So funny. We were like, wait, weren't you? It was the Spider-Man meme.
I remember our professor showing your website as the one that everyone should follow after. And I saw your website on the screen.
Yeah.
My website. And I was like, okay, restart. Like, I'm not passing this class.
He really messed up my name, and I was so embarrassed. I was sitting in the back of the class, and I was like, he was kind of roasting me also. Yeah. I don't know how you remember it to be like a good website, because he was like, it sucks. And I was like, panic. But yeah, what was I saying? Oh yeah, right. Forming my own major. So I had this idea of communications. That's really what I wanted to do. And I was pretty bummed after I enrolled at the U of R to find that there wasn't a communication major. Pretty upsetting. They do have an English major that's like a focus in communications, but I was like, not so. I was interested, but not really sure. The other thing I was looking at was the digital media studies. Yeah. So I ended up taking some classes from both of those kind of majors. But it was funny when I showed up in the multidisciplinary office and they help you like kind of form your major. She was like, don't tell anyone that you're trying to form 2 majors together, because that's a big no-no. And I was like, okay. All right, whatever. So in my head, personal, my formation of it was that I wanted to do communications kind of for the digital world. And then obviously communications as a whole is pretty digital in the moment. So I took a lot of media studies classes. I took some art history, statistics, psychology. And then for me, I felt like my clusters, psychology and web design, also kind of fell into the fold of that whole major. Not really my major, but all my work was kind of digital communications focused.
That's awesome. So like, so I guess one thing I'm curious about. So I think it's amazing, like how you just went about like going through all the admin stuff to get those majors approved, because that was definitely very daunting, right? And a lot of uncertainty over there.
Yeah.
So so I guess like, and I know like UF4 has this opportunity where students can do that, and I know a lot of schools don't have that opportunity and the customization, right? Like, I'm curious. So what would you like? When would you tell students to consider forming their own degree? Like, or when should a student or current students, like, when should they consider, like, okay, what if I step out of the normal zone and if I try to make my own thing right now? Like, what were the initial signs for you?
Yeah, I think so. For me, it really similar to the web design business. It kind of came from a need where I was like, this isn't really what I'm looking for. This is what I'm interested in. So that was like the moment of pivot for me. But I think that if you feel frustration in the classes that you're taking, or that you're looking at like the major, what happened for me actually is I was looking at all of the classes and the requirements for the other majors that I was considering. And I was like, I don't want to do that, but not in the, like, that's too much work. It was like, that doesn't seem like it's what I want to do.
Right.
So the DMS major is a great major. The people that come out of that major are like so cool. They create amazing things, but I saw that there was the capstone project at the end, and it was to create something digital.
Mm-hmm.
In hindsight, that would have been still like in my zone of things that would have been cool and interesting for me. But my thought when I was a sophomore and needing to create my own major was, and when I say needing, I mean, because the deadline for like declaring, you guys know, if you don't go to the U of R, there's like a whole declaration thing. So I actually had to declare a different major, which I was like, I'm lying, but it was fun. So the deadline was coming up, so I needed to like kind of be more serious about it. I kind of had this thought that I was not my idea was that I wanted to do communication and digital communication for digital fields.
Right.
So I didn't really want to create the digital thing. Mm-hmm. This is what I said all the time. I was like, I don't want to create the thing. I want to do the organization and the communications behind getting it made and getting it, shown to the world, which I think still stands true to what I love to do today.
Yeah, no, that's really cool, because I think, especially I think communication, like Wright said, because it's like something that's like so important in general, and it's just amazing to see like how you like focused on that from an academia perspective. Mm-hmm. I think that's really cool. Like, Sid, did you ever like consider just wanting to create your own major in college? Like,
I did. Actually, I was really close to doing so myself.
Really?
Yeah, but it was sort of a weird intersection between business and computer science. So it was two like pretty well defined majors themselves. So that's sort of why it didn't go through. But I think something that I'm really curious to hear about, and since you mentioned that you created your own major and all that, not a lot of people have had the opportunity to. So how does this, when you come to like once you graduate, when you get to like in a position where you're looking for a job, how do you position this to that market? How do you sort of tell them like, oh, this is my major and I sort of created myself, is that, how do you explain that to them?
Right. Yeah. It's actually pretty interesting because I get a question all the time, which is, what is digital communications?
Yeah.
Which is silly because I'm like, don't you know? Like, it makes so much sense to me, right?
Isn't that obvious? Come on, guys.
Yeah. Digital communications, both those words. Let's put two and two together. But yeah, it's an interesting conversation. And I did have a job interview in March, March, that I didn't get, that the woman was like, yeah, we're actually not looking at people who are right out of college. We're looking for some experience, but I was really interested that you created your own major. So I wanted to talk to you, which I was like, thank you,
Yeah.
But it's a pretty good intro to just about any conversation, because if you say like, oh, I created my own major, people are like, what? Hang on, full stop. But yeah, it definitely is a little bit of an explaining, where people are, people understand the concept of like, it's like I DIY'd, but it's harder to explain what the meat of the major is. Sometimes it's like, okay, but what did you do? So yeah, but people are pretty receptive. I think it's interesting enough. It's like intriguing in a way. It's a good talking point because people think it's cool.
Yeah, that's really interesting. And I think one other thing that comes to mind when you say that is, I remember when I went to the office to create my own major, they were like, you need to come up with a name for the major too.
Right.
And I went full creative with it. I like came up with these crazy names, and I was like, wait, but this is going to be on my resume. So if I'm like calling a company that I'm applying for this, I don't want to be called like the techno business guy, you know? It's like, how do you describe that? So, I mean, digital communication sounds like a really professional name for me.
If it was me, I was going to call it Defense Against the Dark Arts.
Right. Yeah.
Or something like that. Like, dude, you went very professional with that name. If I could call it anything, I would just call it like super something, wizarding, Harry Potter makes Lord of the Rings, something like
Potions, transfiguration.
Yeah.
What's the one up in the tower with the big glasses?
Up in the
what's her name?
Trelawney, Professor Trelawney, right?
Yeah. What did she do?
She was like the astronaut. No, she could tell the
future.
The future, right? That with the tea leaves and stuff.
What is it called?
I forgot. What was the class?
Okay.
Harry, Sid, pull out the Harry Potter book you have next to your desk. You don't have one?
No, sorry.
we gotta rechange your desk. I don't have it anymore. But yeah, where were we?
I don't remember.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, so I was just gonna quickly make a remark that I think it's definitely something really cool that should stand out to recruiters. Mm-hmm. And I think Sid, you have that experience that you made 2 classes for computer science, right? You made 2 customized classes in college, right?
Yeah. They weren't necessarily customized classes. They were more like independent studies. But since I was doing bachelor in arts, I could essentially. So I technically got to name those classes myself too. So I did go like all out with that. But
wait, what are they called?
One sort of professional. It's called monetization strategies.
Cool.
And one's digitalization in the 21st century.
I want to take that class.
I created it, so I can send you the notes. It's basically me running the show. Amazing.
Professor.
Yeah, I saw. I'm just gonna say, I think it's really cool, and I think it's something that definitely recruiters would stand out to recruiters.
Thank you.
Yeah. So here's what I want to jump into next. Aliye, you have created your own creative agency. Mm-hmm. And I want to learn a little about that process. Like, what prompted you to do so?
So it actually started in high school. I was starting to do portraits for friends and family members. And I made a video as my senior project. Evansville High School, shout out. We had to do a project in order to graduate. I think my class was the first to do it. Maybe it was so long ago, so I can't remember. I actually don't remember, but I think we were the first. Yeah, I think we were the first to have to do it, but it was like a certain amount of hours. We had to present it in front of a board, and I ended up making a video. So kind of like video creation and photography were really my passions. And then when I got to campus, when you're a photographer, people find out, and then they want your clubs to take pictures of them in front of rusheries. Relatable, right? So I started doing like portraits and group photos for friends and other people that I knew on campus. So when I was at school, it was pretty focused in just photography and a little bit of videography, which was really fun. I learned a lot about being a business owner, and it was an interesting thing. Like I said, with COVID right now, my work right now in web design came from a need of like how I'm working from home and needing to stay at home. But when I was in college, it was my experience learning about how businesses work came from the need of people needed my services. That was we got there. So I was like, walked all over at the beginning, and my friends were like, yo, that's not cool. I started doing contracts and like photo agreements, and had like, all my friends were consultants. You know who you are. Shout out all my fans. But yeah, I learned a lot about how to like be a photographer on the business end, because I obviously knew how to take photos already. It's not that hard. Editing is hard. Anyway, all that aside, after And then after I left college, I got an iPad and an Apple Pencil and started doing drawing, like digital drawing. And then because I also took these web design courses, I started to do web design for myself. And similar to photography, people find out that you do that and then they want you to do it for them. And I'm like, I don't even need to market myself, which is funny because that's what I do. I market myself and other things, but I didn't need to because everyone's like has friends and their friends want a website and friends' friends want a website. I'm like, oh, okay, well, get in line. Right. And I'm like just one person, but it was really kind of like a slow process where I was like trying to adjust to doing other work outside of school. Cause at that point I was at Berkeley. And then I was doing it pretty consistently. And then once March came around and I wasn't working anymore in my job before, I ended up doing a lot of web design for friends and this crisis communication that I was talking about, where I'm moving to digital, which has been really interesting and actually really fun. It's a lot of like start at square one, which is usually when you get a project and you're in this field, you don't start from square one. So I'm like, let's have a meeting and do da-da-da. You know, I'm like, we're going to make a Google Sheet. You guys know how I feel about Google Sheets. I love them. They're so good. I wish we had a picture of a Google Sheet that I could
quick tangent. Just to add there, like Aliye has created the most craziest Google Sheet that I've ever seen. She's managed to get check boxes on like columns, and it's crazy. It blows my mind. I'm like, I've never been able to do so.
Me and Sim were just talking about that. I think that was the most innovative thing we have seen this whole like week. Like I didn't know, I wasn't sure what to do with those check boxes. Like how it even works.
Sure, you don't know how the checkbox works?
No, but I didn't know how it worked in the Google Sheet though. That was like, that what confused me. Like, do I click
it? And it's like an on-off toggle. Aren't you a computer science major? Come on.
Let's not dive more into my computer science. That's a whole different session. That's a whole different rabbit hole right there. That innovation really like wow. So that's organization on a whole new level.
Yeah, right. Well, I told you I don't want to make the thing. I want to organize the thing, and I'm organizing Sid's organization so that it's organized. It's a whole thing. I love to organize.
Yeah, Sid organizes things that doesn't even exist.
But then I help him organize them so that they can exist later. So it works out well.
To your audience tuning in, if there's a friend you want to get back on, just drop their email. I will share Sid's Google Drive with you guys. You can tell them, I will share the Google Drive with you guys, and you tell them to explore the Google Drive. Just drop their email down there.
The best is when you go into a folder and there's nothing in it, but the folder's created so something can go in later.
Yeah.
But there's nothing. You're like, why does this folder exist? There's nothing to put in it.
It's for like 20 years down the road.
Right. 7.
I like to document my goals so that one day we'll be able to like put stuff in the folder, you know.
It's all about the goal setting, right?
Yeah.
Exactly.
I end up with Rohit Sid and his Google Drive organization, but Aliye, but yeah, as you were, I forgot what we were talking about at that point.
Yeah, we jumped in a quick tangent there. We're talking about Aliye routing to creative agency.
Yeah.
I think I was just about done. That it was, that's how it was formed. It took me like so long to do the website. Like when I say long, I mean months, because I just kept getting distracted. And then I finally in March, thanks to the pandemic, I really like sat down and worked on both my websites to make them get to a place that I was really happy with them. And it's really exciting. I think a new website is really exciting personally because I love a website. But it's exciting to like kind of create a container or a space for yourself to expand. And I think that for me, the website was really tied with the solidification of my brand and my business. I was like, I have a website. I'm proud of it. I can start, spreading it around the internet and sharing it with my friends and people I know. So
that's really nice. And congratulations on getting your website. I know some of us, I personally spent 3 years working on a website.
Right.
Got it up actually in March as well. I know Sharfood had a time.
I still don't have a website.
That's up next for you, Sharfood. We're going to work on that.
We need to work on that, yes. I still don't have a website. So I don't know what to put there. I don't know how to go about it. So And that's why we're here today.
Right. Yeah. We're going to make Sharfooz a website.
Make Sharfooz a website. Yeah, it's about time, Sharfooz. Make a website.
Right.
That's so funny. So, Aliye, I've heard, and there's some pretty cool things you actually did over the summer before sort of graduation. Can you tell us how that sort of filled into like what you're doing right now? Like I know you did with geography and some other really cool projects.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I was blessed with the most amazing internships, which actually the story is that the first time I applied to internships in New York City, which is after my sophomore year, I applied to 44 jobs. I heard back from one of them. It was an office assistant gig at a day camp, not in the city. And I was like, it's a job, we'll take it. And it was actually doing office assistant things. I got to do a lot of the things that are just like normal, everyday things that I now have to do all the time. So I learned a lot about SQL databases and managing a lot of things. Also, there were kids there, so that was nice. They're cute. And then the next summer, I got an amazing internship at a digital and PR firm for classical musicians in the city, actually through Connects at Eastman. Shout out to the Eastman School of Music. The woman who hired me was an alum from Eastman and came back to Eastman to try to find interns. And that was an amazing internship. I got to work for Yo-Yo Ma and who else? Daniel Barenboim, Michael Tilson Thomas. I don't know if you guys are big classical fans. Anyway, MTT means nothing to you? Come on.
Yeah, I can't really show up there much.
Okay, well, what can you do? But yeah, that was amazing. It was really cool. I got to meet famous classical musicians because they came into the office and I was like, hi, do you want some water? But it's really cool. And it was interesting to working so close to famous people. It's like they're just like us. I think people like really hype up celebrities and especially with classical musicians, there's like it's very niche. So like I just named people who are famous and you're like, you guys have nothing, no response. But there's like their fan base is really big and it's like pretty serious. And the other thing about it is like, it's a very prestigious and serious part of the entertainment world, which is like so interesting. Like the way they do things are very, categorized and we have to do this step and this step. And the publicity especially is really, there's a formula of how you do it. And I learned a lot about press and how event listings go out and different things like that. I worked on a lot of WordPress websites, like I think like 30 different websites. The first week they were like, do you know WordPress? And I was like, nope. And they're like, you're going to learn. So that was really nice. That was pre-Costin. That was before our class. Right. But yeah, it was just amazing. I was working in Manhattan right across from Carnegie Hall, and I got to go to Carnegie Hall for free to like see one of our clients, which was so cool. Yeah, it was great. It's really interesting when you work at a firm for the first time, how much you learn. And it was a small firm. It was like 40 people, maybe 30. Yeah, it was I think 30. 30 people worked at the firm. So it was not like anything like Deloitte or like the bigger firms that you guys work at, but it was just so fascinating. I just learned so much. I was like really ready to take it in. And then the other internship I had that was great was through EPA internships in London, and that was at a video production firm. They taught me everything I know about Premiere Pro. I was like really was blessed by the video gods to have that internship. So I was like head first into Premiere Pro the first week. And the other thing is I got to interview stars on the red carpet, which is not something that everybody gets to say they've done. I met Will Smith at work, which was pretty wild.
I am legend.
The best. Sharpooz is
Wait, no, I think his internet froze. I think he's frozen.
No. Okay, I was just thinking, like, if I meet Will Smith, what am I gonna say the first thing?
Right. Yeah. Well, when I met Will Smith, I think I had to repeat myself because he couldn't hear me. I didn't speak loud enough.
Yeah.
Sorry, Will. So actually, I have like a cut. It's like the rough cut of the interview.
Yeah.
And in the cut, the only way to do it well was to include the part where I say it, and he goes, "What's that?" And so that's like on my like film like clip, film show reel, film production. You know what I'm talking about? To show that I know how to do it. Anyway, but yeah, I was like, okay, whatever. But yeah, it was really cool. That was also kind of like working with celebrities. I also did a huge project on, get this, Google Sheets with EA Games, which was so cool. I got to work on Star Wars Battlefront 2, Need for Speed Payback, and FIFA 18. Any soccer fans out there?
Yeah. I still play FIFA 18 with my friends, right? Like, I still play FIFA 18. Like, I think FIFA 18 is way better than FIFA 20.
Well, you're welcome. I did it for you.
Aliye like looked right through Sharpooz. She was like, "Wait, anyone out there? Like, I can't see you guys in the back."
I really have FIFA 18 on my PlayStation. I was like, play it all the time. I lose, but that's not the point.
I've never played it, but I did see it in Target like a few weeks later. And I was like, hey.
Oh, God.
I didn't make the game, but I did help to promote it in Europe. So you're welcome. Sharpooz is
not in Europe, but that's amazing. I applaud that as a fan of the game.
Thank you. Thank you. You're learning so much about me today. Will Smith, FIFA 18.
I know, like, you know, I want to do that. I might as well like do it in the session, right?
Right, exactly. Got to do it live. You get the real reactions.
I know, right? It's like uncut. Yeah.
Career's Uncorked.
Exactly.
Except I was trying to make the pun, but I couldn't.
Yeah, we'll try again in like 5 minutes to make that pun.
All right. Let's see. So, Aliye,
yes.
I think you have an idea of what's next.
I'm nervous.
It's our favorite section.
My least favorite section.
Yeah, your most favorite section. It's called the rapid fire.
Before you ask, can I just say that I don't want to answer the question about which host is my favorite?
We totally don't have that question on the list. We took that off, totally.
Yeah, and we also, yeah. Anyways, sorry, I've been really tired today. I actually had a watermelon workout. I don't have dumbbells, so I was using a watermelon.
Wow. You know you eat those, right?
Wait, you do?
You eat that?
No. But anyways, so yeah, like this is gonna be like the jolt of the session. So we're gonna get right into it. So Aliye, number one, what is your pet peeve?
My pet peeve? Oh, when people interrupt. But I do it all the time, so I'm sorry.
Okay.
What do you mean interrupt?
Like
like this right now? Like this?
Interrupting cow who?
What?
Knock knock. Okay, continue. Next one. This is not rapid.
Okay. Favorite cuisine?
Pasta.
Pasta. All right.
Is that pasta?
Okay.
It's not cuisine, but sure.
It's Italian, right?
What's your quarantine hobby?
My favorite hobby?
Quarantine hobby.
Oh,
what are you doing this quarantine?
Well, I would like to be making TikToks, but I didn't have anyone fun to make them with. I did do like a not a slow motion, a fast. What's that when you do the time lapse? I did a time lapse of my hyacinth. His name is Henry the hyacinth. But I was like hoping that he would grow or something, but he just fell down. So follow me on Instagram for more good content.
Would recommend. What's your handle?
Aliye. AHHLEEYAY. It's so you can pronounce my name right. Ding. Okay. Next.
We'll have to put that in the comments so people can
drop it in the comments below.
We will. Let's get working on that. Next one. Favorite class in college?
Oh gosh, that's so hard. I did a really cool. There's so many. I took a grad class called intro to photo history. I think it was like 1839 to 1915, and I got to go to the George Eastman Museum and go into the vaults and like see the photos that I was reading about. So we would like do a reading, and I was like, whatever, and then I'd see the actual picture, like the real deal, the next day, and I was like, oh, really cool. That's like a direct quote from what I said.
That's like a direct word-to-word reaction. Okay.
Oh.
Dude, that's gonna go into the bloopers.
Oh God.
From the live stream.
Yeah.
All right. Next question. What? Oh yeah. And just to give a little background, Aliye, I know we met on LinkedIn. So what's the weirdest thing you've ever seen on LinkedIn? And it can't be Shafuz.
Whoa. Okay.
Dang, you took my answer. The weirdest.
Yeah, I see what you did there.
I don't really see many weird things on LinkedIn.
Like
I mean,
both, or
there's weird ads on LinkedIn. Oh my God. Don't even get me started on the ads. They're always like, do you want to have a master's in digital marketing? And I'm like, no. If I did, I'd be doing it already. What? It's like for schools near me. And I'm like, I see you, LinkedIn ads trying to target me.
Targeted ads.
Yeah. At least like tell them the algorithm's working then. But yeah, cool. Next question. So, what's your dream vacation?
Dream vacation? Oh my God! At this moment, any vacation. But a vacation at the beach is always the best kind.
Mm-hmm.
But I really want to go to Iceland. There's a lot of places I want to go, but that'll be my answer.
Iceland? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Aliye, what meme represents you? Because I know you're huge into memes.
Oh, I love a meme. I represents me. Oh my God, the Wanos meme. Anyone? No. Okay, so there's a meme that is like, it's like, I'm not going to explain it well. If you know, then you know. But it's what is his name? The guy from Infinity War. Is his name?
The Thanos.
Thanos. Thanos the whale.
Oh, it's like a Thanos whale, right?
Wanos. I'll send it.
I'm looking right now.
Yeah.
Hold up. Can you screen share? Do you see it?
I can. Yeah. Give me a second.
It's like, this is like, I don't know. He's looking at me like, no, I don't.
We have to, as he's working on that, I'm gonna go with the next one. Favorite movie?
Favorite movie? Oh, that's also so hard. Definitely Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. Watch it immediately. Shut off this right now and go watch it. It's on Netflix. Best movie that's ever made. If you want to know all of my thoughts, I will share them. I love this movie.
No, I agree. That's a brilliant movie.
It's so good.
All right.
You gotta watch it.
Sid is like not here for it.
Just drop out of this call and watch it right now.
Right.
Don't do that. I'll give it like 15 minutes.
Are you asking him to drop out? I can't believe.
It's a great movie though. It is.
It's worth it.
All right. I'm gonna pull up the meme.
Yeah. Okay. Hit us. It's just look at his face. Gets me every time. There's another one that the text says, teacher, what are you laughing at? Me, nothing. And this is a picture of the
Oh God.
Every time it makes me giggle. I love it. That's awesome. Thanks for sharing that with us. That's good stuff. Okay, next question. Blue Bottle or Phil's coffee?
I know the answer. It's Blue Bottle, but I will say that I went to Phil's and I had a really good drink, and then I rode on a Lime scooter, but it almost didn't work. But Blue Bottle, all the way.
Okay, Phil's, if you're watching this,
I told you I got it. Get the blue one because it's cute. This is the best coffee I've ever had. It really changed my life, to be honest. My coffee game. Now that I can't go to Starbucks every morning and get my bacon Gouda, no meat, and my vanilla Americano with a little bit of coffee cream, a little bit of cream. Well, I mean, there's only a little bit of coffee too, but anyway, Blue Bottle's the best. Buy it for your fridge. Your fridge will thank you. Also, Blue Bottle, please sponsor us at this point.
We will, yeah.
Anything else.
This is like the fourth time we've been talking about Blue Bottle, so I think it's about time.
Every time I'm allowed to talk, I talk about Blue Bottle.
It's
becoming our brand because I can't stop talking about it.
Blue Bottle is one of our core company values.
Yep.
Right. It is. What can I say?
Yeah, so take it away. No.
All right, Aliye, it's time. Who is your favorite co-host, Sid or Shafuz?
I plead the fifth. I don't want to. I think this is not a fair question.
Okay.
I'm trying to keep like some friendships going, so I don't want to burn any bridges. But Sharfuz, it's really, really funny when everybody leaves you. I will say, Sid, you leave, and then Sharfuz has a reaction to everybody leaving, and that's my favorite co-host is Sid leaving and Sharfuz reacting. Thank you. Final answer. Next question. I hate this question.
All right. So Aliye, pick a number between 1 and 10.
7.
All right. Wait, I didn't do that correctly.
Okay.
Sharfuz, pick a number 5 or plus or 5 and below.
5 plus or 5 below?
Yeah.
6?
6. Okay. I'm gonna ask Siri to answer this question for us. Hey Siri, pick a number between 1 and 10.
This is high tech.
It picked 6. Well, I don't know if you guys can see it.
No.
Yeah, I can see it. It picked 6. Wait, 6. Wait, what does it mean?
That means you win, Sharfuz.
Oh, I win? Oh, okay.
Wait. What if she picked like 4?
Then it would have been me because it was 5 above and 5 below. Sharfuz said 6, so it was 5 above.
Oh, I see.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't get it, but
I'm so confused.
Yeah, it's
fine. We can move along.
We're trying new things. We might have a spinny wheel next time. Like
we might get a spinny wheel.
That's a great idea. I'll make it.
You'll make it?
Yeah.
All right.
We'll do it.
Got it.
You can start working on that while we gather our thoughts for the next segment.
I'll just open a new tab over here.
All right. So bring it all back together. Aliye, thanks for being such a great sport on that. I know we were been goofing around so much.
I hate the rapid fire.
We're trying to be, as you can see, we're trying to be way more creative, and we are trying. Trying is a key word.
Right.
But I think this is one of the things, one of the part of the conversation that we're really excited to hear about is that. So let's go back to brand building and personal brand. Mm-hmm. And let's go back to marketing yourself. Why do you think we should focus on our personal brand development in people in college, people as young adults? Why do you think it's important?
I think it's one of the most important parts of leaving college and the job search. And that's not just because I'm a marketer. Maybe it is. Maybe I don't. Maybe I'm saying that because I'm a marketer. But I think it's really important. I will say that I think that some of the things that I've gotten are because I have a really solid personal brand, especially now that I have a website, AliyeGallagher.com. Gotta hype that. Wow, that was so annoying actually that I dropped that. I apologize. But now that I have a website, I think it's really helpful because I can put anything I want on my website. And if people look at my resume and they think it's impressive or my LinkedIn, then they can look at my website and there's the content goes, oh my God.
Yeah.
I really hate that I did that. It was like a sperm one thing. Why did you?
Guys.
That's the website. Go check it out, guys.
Oh my God. All my, it's going to spike from 0 views for the last week to 2, you know?
Do you guys just all want to pretend to be freeze so that I'm this skin for much longer?
Oh man. But anyway, gosh, but the website is really helpful because you can put anything you've done. My website is pretty dense compared to my resume because you can't put as much as you really want to on the resume. I also hate deciding what to leave on. Notifications are on. Okay. Sorry, everybody. One second. Hey, Rach. Love you. Website. I'm going to get there eventually. There is a point to the story. Lost my train of thought. Oh, there's lots of case studies of my experience and how I use that for strategy and communications. And you just kind of can be yourself, which I think is really important to the personal brand thing. It's like, that's what it is showing who you are. But I also feel like starting to put content out there for any brand, not just a personal brand, but having a website, having a LinkedIn page, and starting to interact on those two platforms, that will help to build over time who you are on the internet, like what your face is.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think that's really helpful to hear, because I personally, someone who doesn't have a website, I know Sid, you do. Like, Sid, what made you start your own website?
Can we drop Sid's link too?
No, I think it's gonna be
Okay.
I'm pretty sure it's not live anymore. He probably pulled it off. That's not embarrassing.
They call to actions. But yeah, I mean, I started actually 3 websites this quarantine. I've been doing websites left and right. I think one of the biggest things that you said, Aliye, which really resonated with me, was it's about starting, because it's Google. Like, it takes time to crawl a website, and I don't want to get too technical about like SEO and stuff, but it is a long-term process. So if you started a website back in 2017, it would be a lot higher ranked right now than it would be if you just started like 2 months ago. So that's one of the things, and that works with LinkedIn too. Like, just start building a social presence, because that's essentially going to be the biggest thing that's going to matter. Like, I've seen people who there's other people with my exact name, and it's weird to see them pop up, but I luckily like have a couple of like blogs and articles and stuff posted from like 2-3 years ago. So luckily, like when someone types it on Aliye, it shows up my stuff above other people's things. And I don't know, it's just weird, but yeah, it's the earlier you start, the better it is.
Right. Yeah. And I think the other thing that's important is, I think it's overwhelming to start because you don't know what to put out there. The content is the hard part. Like, starting is not hard. You can you know how to get a domain, you know how to start a LinkedIn profile, but starting to post, trying to decide what to put on your LinkedIn or what to put on your website is harder. And I think that's something that I've kind of like broken through. My epiphany was that it doesn't really matter what you do at the beginning, because you can always change it. And that's true of LinkedIn and websites and any social media. Also, I'm starting the branding for my creative company, Aliye Creative, which, in order to have a Instagram page, you need to have a Facebook page. So I have both of those, and I'm kind of like slowly releasing content and starting to like dive into like, what do I want to post on Facebook, on LinkedIn, but getting the username, like getting the URL, whatever is the first step is easy, but trying to put the content out there is harder. So just going for it and starting it is really important. Very
true. And it's sort of that thing where you can't really have the perfect website, you can't have the perfect post. It's an ongoing thing. So just get started, just throw something in there, even if it's just like, hi, this is my name and it's coming soon or whatever, just put it up there, like get started.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So I think, so that brings me, because Aliye, you mentioned something that got me really curious. So you mentioned that how you have sort of used your website to get access to particular projects, or to make like some sort of community relationship that help with your work and help with your initiative. So can you talk about some of those initiatives? Like, how did what I'm trying to say is, like, how did your website help you with strategically to get involved with some of the projects that you work with? How did it play a role?
Yeah, I would say that starting to have a space where I can link to all of my projects. I noticed that when I was applying to jobs in 2017 and 2018, it was hard for me to I'm like, here's my resume, here's my cover letter, and then you have to include all the links, and if they get your LinkedIn, they might go to all of all the content that you have on your LinkedIn. They wrote an article when I created my major about me. They interviewed me, which was really cool. So that's been on my LinkedIn, and I have the video reel that I was telling you about earlier for my production internship. So I have a few things on my LinkedIn, but there wasn't really a place that everything was there. So one of the things that I would recommend if you do have a personal website is to have as much visuals and different kinds of content on a website page as you can. That was something that was recommended to me through my Berkeley program. They are kind of supporting everybody in the cohort creating their own website. It was part of the process, and I already had the domain, and so I was like really just building the content. But one of the things they suggested is like take screenshots of your work, make sure that there's like not an NDA there, and kind of work with your boss to make sure it's, you know, okay content, but having pictures and videos and quotes and any kind of other content than words is really helpful when you scroll down the page, and you can kind of see some of those KPIs and the things that that you did. The other thing that someone suggested to me, and this is true of cover letters, resume, website, LinkedIn, everything, is as many numbers as you can to kind of quantify what you're doing is really, really helpful to be like, so for a while I had like, oh, I worked at this video production firm. And then it's like, I created 40 videos. I interviewed on the red carpet like this many times. You know, it's like when you say like, when you put it like that, then there's people like, wow, cool. Or, you know, and when you have a video to show, that also helps to be like, oh, this girl was literally on the red carpet. That's cool. You know, and there's a way to, oh, here's a quote. Somebody at my work in the, which one was it? The classical music firm, she said, our thing is to show, not tell. And I think that's so true. Any marketing, any branding that you're doing, period, not even just for yourself, is like, show what you've done, show what you're trying to promote instead of tell. I think there's like an ego part of like telling, and that's as much as you can be like, this is what I did, mic drop, is so much better than like, and then I did this, and then I did this, and then I did this. But also telling a story is really helpful too. I just went on a tangent of advice. Was that what was your question? Did I answer it? I don't know.
Well, I think that was
okay, good.
No, that's actually really good. And I think just something I'd like to add in, I know a lot of creative people usually have personal portfolios, and then on the other end, like there's people with a super technical background. I think for them, building a portfolio is more like building a GitHub or some place where people can come see your project. So that again is another way of expanding your digital presence and building your personal brand.
Yeah, I would say too that something that's not as popular is when you're not in a digital field. I would say having a website, point blank, at this point, it's not that expensive. It's not that hard.
Yeah.
Call me up if you need help.
Yeah.
Seriously though. No, don't drop it. No. Drop my Calendly. No. But really, I think no matter who you are in this like digital age, I don't mean to be like philosophical, but in the place that we are, you can make your website DIY with Wix and Weebly and Squarespace and whatever. And it's just really accessible for people to learn more about you. And the way that I think about websites is that they're extremely spacious because they can go as far or wide as you need them to be. So if you want it to be like pretty small, you can keep it small. But if somebody's on your website and they want to keep going and there's more content for you to share, it can just kind of go on forever. And I think that's the thing that's really stands out to me is I'm like, I can put everything there. Oh, good. You know, I'm so excited to be able to share all the things I've done as opposed to just the things that will fit on my CV.
Yeah. No, I think that's a good thing because resume is like, because we were talking with Grace and we were talking to other people as well. Like, say Grace said like a resume could be 1 to 2 page, right? And so was everybody else. And so I guess website is a place where you could really show all your work, and also like have images and also like show your personality a little bit, right? Yeah, I think that's really interesting. One thing, because Aliye, you mentioned digital storytelling, and that's something that you're super passionate about and you're experienced with, and also communication. So I think it would be good best for like for our general audiences listening in. How would you describe what digital storytelling is, and like how do you tie that with communication? And I guess I'm asking this from the perspective of digital storytelling for a company as well as personal as an individual itself.
I would say that everything is a story, and you can make a story out of everything. All content can be put in a story format. When I was at my program at Berkeley, the first day they kind of broke it down and they were like, you know how to tell a story, and they gave us these story formats. And it was really interesting because I kind of lashed out of this term of digital storytelling because I loved it so much. And I think that when it comes to storytelling in a digital way, in a digital format, like a website, there's so many different ways to go about it. So you're like, okay, I want to, tell a story. I need to sell this product. I need to get the word out about this event. And then you get to think about all the different venues to get the word out. There's email marketing, there's websites, there's Eventbrite, there's social media, and there's so many different kinds of social media. Chartreuse is going to make a TikTok to promote the next Saturday. Stay tuned. It's going to go live on Friday. I'm making promises that Chartreuse cannot keep. But what's interesting is that for me, my process is to decide the platform. Mm-hmm. I won't go into medium as the message, but if you're a media person, media studies, media theory, you'll know who I'm talking about. The channel that you choose is almost as important as the content in media theory, because the kind of content you can put on each platform is informed by the platform. So you don't put the same kind of content on LinkedIn and Facebook and TikTok, for example. So there's something there where to tell a digital story, as I like to call it, you start with the idea or the focus, the end goal, and then you pick a platform, you figure out what form the content's going to be in, and then you can make the content. And I like the idea of storytelling as an umbrella because, like I said before, everything is a story. So there's always a story to be told. And I think that, in my head at least, the word story really brings it down. It boils it down to, I'm here to tell a story about me, about my brand or this company's brand or this this nonprofit's mission or the work that we're doing here with this project. So there's that's the story aspect of it. And I think that there's never ending stories in the same way that websites can go on and on. And you asked about communication too. I think that communication is a really complicated question, but I think for me personally, communicating a really clear message is really important. I think that things are really convoluted, especially because of the way that we're communicating digitally. I almost named my major emails. It was a long-standing joke that the reason why I wanted to do this digital communication major is because I loved emails and I loved writing emails. I wrote the college feminist emails for 1.5 years, and people knew me from my emails, and because they were so long, but I loved writing them. Yeah. Sophia will tell you that I actually would sit down. It would take me hours to get them out, but they were color coded. I was linking to the Facebook event for the different, all these different things. But I love the idea of having something, content, a point to get across, and then breaking it down and really being meticulous about what are the best words to use, what's the best images, how can I engage the audience, different things like that, to communicate it in the best way. And that kind of ties into how communication is, in my world, focused on the audience and who is going to be receiving it, because as the person that's delivering the communication, you can deliver it in any way that makes sense to you, but you have to make it clear for the other person, which is why I'm also passionate about design thinking, user experience, and all those different things that are more user-focused. They're more audience first, which is the way that I do any of my strategy or web development right now, because I don't think there's really any other way. Now that I've learned that, that's the only way to do it, because if you make it for yourself, then the only person that knows how to use it is you, and that's just it's not really helpful, to be honest.
Exactly. I think something that was huge for me out of that was when you mentioned that, okay, think about the person who's going to be viewing it, think about the audience that you're portraying this to. the biggest problem I had with my website, and the biggest reason it took me 2 years, is because I always thought about myself first. I was like, what do I like? What are like the colors of my choosing? What would sort of appeal to my eyes? It had to be perfect before it got out there.
Right.
So I think that was a huge realization for me, is focus on the audience, focus on who's going to be looking at the website and what content are they looking for.
Totally. Yeah. Shifts the way that you create it, definitely.
Very true.
Yeah, for sure. I think, Aliye, a couple of things you said. I think the thing about the storytelling, like everything, firms and companies and people have stories to tell, and everything can be wrapped up in a story.
Right.
That made me think about about Simon Sinek's video, like start with the why, because people don't buy products, people buy the mission. People buy the story.
I love that video.
Yeah, right. So that immediately it made me think about that, because because the example with Apple, like it's not just a phone, right?
Right.
You're telling people on your vision, on why you are here, right? And I guess it applies individually too, because when you're in a recruiter call, they're asking you, tell us about yourself. You're telling a story, and I think that's amazing. I think there's definitely I think you portrayed that really well. Second remark, I was gonna say that I also really like writing emails, and I sometimes, depending on my energy level, I sometimes try to make my email very, very personal, very not so formal. I kind of blabber around a lot. I make jokes here and there.
Would you say that your emails are uncorked?
My emails are like uncorked in a
Bad timing, guys. Bad timing.
I'm sorry. I
think that was really fun. Yeah.
I've been trying to make a pun with the cork.
I would say my emails are very uncorked. So no, good one there. So I think email communication is, I think it's brilliant, and I think especially it applies, especially when you're cold emailing people, right?
Yeah.
So I guess I'm curious to hear, very short, Aliye, what are a couple of 2 or 3 very best practices for email that that you really follow, or that you would recommend to people who write emails?
I think if it's a cold email or an audience that you don't really know, keep it short and sweet, but really get to the point. The thing that I've kind of evolved and learned is really quick intro, short sentence, and then do your ask right away. I think that's so important. I think the other thing is in the psychology, foot in the door, or I don't remember what the other one, but it doesn't matter. Foot in the door is the best way to just be or no, not foot in the door, the other one. Anyway, I don't remember what it's called, but you ask for what your big ask is. Door in the face? Okay, never mind. I'm sorry. I don't know what I'm saying. There's one where you ask for what your dream thing would be, and then they can be no, and then you can ask, oh, okay, well, what about this thing that's a little bit less than that? Can I be your CEO? No. Can I be, the junior marketer? But that's really helpful when you don't know the person.
Yeah. No, for sure, because I think cold emailing is so much important just for to even reach out to recruiters, or if you're even running a company, to get your prospective clients and stuff.
The other thing I would say, I know you guys talked about this a few times in sessions before, but don't be afraid to send the cold email. That's something that I really learned in the last year, is just send out those, connect with them on LinkedIn, send those emails. Send an email if you don't email. I think it's really important. Also, the most important thing when I'm writing an email personally is to be genuine, which is just, I think it's hard to know if the person's going to think that you're want a call so that you can ask for a job, but just trying to be really gracious and humble is really helpful when you're asking somebody for something, because I think that a lot of people in the career world, I don't know where my mouth is going, but people want to help you. If you ask, there's a high chance that a percentage will get back to you and really want to help you.
That's super cool. Thank you for sharing that. I'm sort of used to sending a lot of emails and messages on LinkedIn. With a very sadly, unfortunately low conversion rate.
Right.
Connections.
Yeah. Conversion rate is low. You know what? I just have to say, slide into those Instagram. Nope. Into those LinkedIn DMs. You never know what will come.
Slide into
there. I'm used to saying Instagram DMs, but honestly, like, who knows what'll happen?
Sliding into LinkedIn DMs is the new thing.
Right. LinkedIn DMs, you heard it here first. Hashtag slide into the, never mind.
Cool. No, for sure. So Aliye, one question I always like to ask our guests. So is so this is eagle view perspective. What is that one significant challenge in your life that you think you had to come across, or you had to, you had to overcome to level up as a person, and how did you go about that?
In my life?
Overall, like in professional way.
I think something that I struggle with.
Student even, yeah.
What?
Like as maybe in college or in professional development.
Okay. Yeah. I thought of something, thank God. One thing that I've really struggled with during college is, I forgot the name of it.
Ooh.
It'll come to me.
We can take a 5-second meditation.
5, 4. Yeah, I'm just doing a quick meditation in the mountains. I forget what it's called. Oh my God. I really had it on the tip of my tongue. I was so confident. I was like, this is it. It's the bewitching hour. Okay.
Say this though. Shurfuz loves throwing people off guard with his questions. So
right.
this is usual. We've seen
this is more me, yeah. This is me, not you.
Of course, right. So it's fine. My response will be leaving. It's when you don't really feel like you belong. What is the word that I'm looking for? There's like a word for imposter syndrome. Oh my God. I got it. Okay. Anyway, at the U Bar, it kind of, at the beginning of freshman year, it really hit me that I was a big fish in a little pond, and now I'm a little fish in a big pond. Like, everybody was so impressive, had done really impressive things that got them into the U Bar. And it was kind of like I wasn't really balanced. I was like, oh my God, everybody's more impressive than me. People have more money than I have. Like, I don't really know if I belong here. I had a few people tell me that I shouldn't be at the U of R because I'm humanities, which was really felt good. It was like, yeah, thank you. Thanks for that.
Well, some people lost their humanity right there.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. But but yeah, so I think imposter syndrome in the career world is like, everybody feels it. Somebody said this to me recently, that everybody feels it all the time. There's always a moment where you're like, I don't belong in this room. I don't belong in this job. I'm not good enough. And I think that that's something that I'm in a much different place than I was 5 years ago when I started college. And it's something that you kind of like adapt to. And the more that you are able to handle it, the more that you go through it, the more you're able to kind of handle it and really say to yourself, no, I deserve this. That same person is really, she's like, they would be happy to have me. They'd be really lucky if I worked for them. And that's something that I'm like, that's a good mantra. Let's use that more in the future. Because they would be, this company would be really lucky to have my skills and my passion and my meticulousness and my organizational Google Drive spreadsheet experience,
Yeah. Absolutely. Thank you for sharing that, because I think a lot of students and even a lot of professionals highly can relate with that, with the whole aspect of imposter syndrome. I think personally myself, coming in as an international student to the UFR as a first year freshman, I felt out of place. For me, it was more about like I forgot, like I was severely homesick. And including all my friends and my family, because I had a huge network of friends where everybody knew me. I mean, I'm not trying to say I was popular, but like people knew me, right? And I felt it was home, right? So for me, that was a big struggle that I definitely needed to overcome. So I could, in my first year, I could get my academics, my GPA, and everything on check. So I thank you for sharing that. I could really definitely do that. Yeah, no, absolutely.
Yeah, I would really agree with that too. And just to continue Shurfuz's story, I met him a year after he sort of went through all that. So I met him at his like prime.
It went down after I met you.
Sophomore year was your prime?
It was Shafuza's, yeah. I think that was when you actually like stepped out of your dorm room.
I'm so sure. He's like,
Define prime, but no, yeah. I think sophomore year, yeah. I think when Sid met me, that was the time when I sort of got over more of that homesickness, and I did more with adapting myself. That was the time I got out enough to make friends like Sid in my life and other friends. So Sid, you got that right, yeah. So that was like my big challenge that I had to overcome. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think everyone does have like inner battles that they have to go through. Right. They might be different. They might not be the same. They might not be being homesick. They might be something else. But that's definitely something we overcome.
Yeah.
It just takes time. It's sort of one of those things. But it's very important to move on from there and not really compare yourself to the next person.
For sure.
Because that's very, very easy to do. Like, oh, this person's smarter than me. This person has a better GPA, or this person does this.
I've had more things handed to me. That's a big, or handed to them. That's when it's like, just don't think, like, congrats to them.
Exactly.
This is my grind. This is my path. The idea of like being on your own path is really helpful for me to like stay centered and focused.
Exactly. Yeah. And it's okay to be late. It's okay to take longer than the other person to get it done.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So sometimes you just gotta uncork from all those negativities, and just connect with others. And,
2 for 2, good one.
That is perfect. We need to get one of those buzzers that goes like.
We can put like a blue bottle.
Just, like, pop it up.
Oh, it pops. Yeah. Wait, hang on. Let me bring it back. Okay, make a pun.
All right, let's do it. Say it, Shafuz.
What am I going to say?
Sometimes you just have to uncork yourself from.
Oh, yeah. So sometimes you just got to uncork yourself and let that negativity out. Oh, okay. That was a. Hey!
We'll do it in post edits. We'll do it.
Right, yeah. Do a little song, a little.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're going to do it in post. We got it.
But yeah.
We actually do have. No, it's okay. There's a question from the audience, but it's not really a question. It's just.
I think so, and I know we went on a tangent there, and we just went a little meta on life. But I hope that would be very valuable for a lot of. I think that's very relatable to a lot of people as well. But I think, Aliye, I want to bring it back again, and I know we discussed a lot about storytelling and communications, and you shared a lot of your experiences with us, right? And I think this is the part where me and Sid would like to talk more about, like, so what can students right now do to like get on this started? Like, what would you say? Like when is it too early? When is it too late? When is the right time? What should students do to get started on this journey of building their digital brand?
It's never too early or too late. Start today or tomorrow if you're a procrastinator. I think that just what we were saying earlier, just starting is really helpful, just to kind of like get going. And can you say the beginning? What was your first question? There was like 3 questions in there. When's the first one?
It was yes. I guess. Sorry about that. What I'm trying to get at is like, what would you tell students like when and how to get started?
How? Oh, right. How? Of course. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think a big one, especially in our fields, is to make a LinkedIn. Mm-hmm. And that's something that I think I made a LinkedIn like sophomore year, maybe, when I was applying to all those internships that I didn't hear back from. Whoopee. And I think that thinking about your LinkedIn or your website as a continuously changing thing is really helpful. Obviously, that's true of websites. You always have to be updating them, but LinkedIn specifically. And my strategy right now, personally, is just to put all of my information up there. I recently went back to the cool things that I did in high school. I did theater lighting and stage management. Hey, Sid and I both did lighting. We love the lights. We love Let There Be Light. And I just kind of like threw everything up there. And I think that early in your career, it's a really good idea to just put anything that you've done up there. It's like the jobs, the campus jobs, the part-time jobs that you had in high school. I actually didn't include the time I was a waitress, and it was just really a bad situation. But anyway, things that you think are relevant in your field or even not relevant. A lot of the things that I did a lot of work with kids when I was in high school. I worked, like I was telling you about the day camp. I've also done, I worked at a Montessori school after freshman year. And then just a lot of work with kids. And I think that there's like a communication angle to that, of course. Like if anybody were to bring it up in an interview or like see that, oh, she worked with children, it's actually any kind of experience is really helpful to show that you're a hard worker and you communicate well with people. I think any, what am I trying to say? In an interview or when asked directly a question about a specific job or project you've worked on, there's always a way to talk about your communication with your supervisor, your communication with your peers, the way that you work on a team. And it's really interesting when somebody singles something out. For me, at least, when I'm in an interview, it's like, oh, what did you do for the Little Theater in Rochester? Which I love the Little Theater. I don't know, go right away, right now, if you're in Rochester. Just kidding, with COVID. But anyway, taking one thing that's on your resume and being asked about that, like just flying with that and be like, oh, I like had to be supervised in this way, and then I had to do this. And when you're asked the question, that's like, how do you work on a team? Just kind of fly with it. And there's a lot that you can say about every single experience that you had. So I think including all of those is really a great start. And then I noticed for myself that I would, over time, those entries have evolved. So like what I said about XYZ internship last year is different from what I have now, because I look at it and I revamp it, and you see on other people's LinkedIn, I added an emoji inspired by Sid. I love the emoji life. Sid, do you want to tell us why you added an emoji?
Yep. So I actually picked it up from one of my other friends who is working in like the same industry as me, and he was like, I put in a cloud, and I think that the cloud next to my name gets me noticed a lot more on LinkedIn because it's like a recurring thing, right? When you see a cloud somewhere. So that was one of the reasons that I added it. It's
pretty funny. In my email, every time you message me on LinkedIn, it's like in text form. Like they don't really know how to put the cloud in.
It says cloud?
No, it's like, it looks like a cloud, but it's not like the white emoji.
It's
like
a dark cloud.
Sure, Foos, do you know what I'm talking about?
I think so, yeah, because it's weird, right?
Yeah, it's just a little distorted. I'll send you a screenshot.
Yeah.
It's weird.
Yeah.
It works though. I like it. I put a little rocket ship. I don't know what it is actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, but that's great. Yeah, I definitely think that also puts you out there like as a friendly person, which is nice because LinkedIn is a scary place.
Right. It's not scary though. Honestly, slide into those DMs, reach out to people, interact. Who knows where you might end up? A live stream, you know?
That's true. So here's my favorite question. This is the last question. I think this is also the most impactful question. What can students and job seekers do right now that have lost their internships or jobs due to COVID-19?
Hard question. I think if you do have time right now, I know that there's like a weird thing where people think that everybody has more time right now, and that's not really true. I actually feel like I have less time because I'm busy organizing all the things that I'm doing and being on Zoom 24 hours. 24 ever. It's a new phrase. I think the learning is really helpful. I took a law class from UPenn on Coursera when COVID started, which was really fun and interesting. But a piece of advice I received in January when I was like kind of starting my job search after my Berkeley program ended was to, like, when you're on the job search, learn skills that you don't already have, and kind of figure out by looking at the job applications that you're applying to, like, what is the skills that's popping up every time. So in January, February, I did the Google AdWords certification. So I had the Google Analytics and then Google AdWords. The other one that's kind of in the back of my mind is the Facebook ads. So you kind of know what the upskill is for your field. I think it wasn't really hard for me to figure out what to do in my field, but I think that there's like, you can learn a skill, you can learn a software, but you also can just learn more about your field. I also love learning, so here I am being like learn, but I'm like love academia. But Coursera, and there's another like online course website, which I'm forgetting. They have all these free courses, and they're like from universities, and some of them are not, I think.
Called edX?
What?
edX?
edX.
Oh, TEDx. Yeah, we love TED.
TEDx. It's edX.
Without the T, like the T boys are.
Say it again?
edX.
Oh, I've never heard of that, but I do love TEDx. I was like, sure, let's roll with that. Drop the TED link. TED too, honestly, I learned so much from TED. Oh, my dream is to give a TED Talk. Fun fact. I would love to give a TED Talk. People ask why or what I'm going to do. I don't know. It's going to come to me.
What would you want to talk about in a TED Talk?
There's too many things, like climate change, social justice, media theory. Oh my God, don't get me started on media theory. Oh, I also might be starting a podcast that is called Don't Get Me Started. I don't know if that's like copyrighted, but if you get me started on, there's many things that you can get me started on that you're going to wish that you didn't.
That's a really good name for a podcast, by the way.
Right. Somebody's going to take it now that I said this on the internet.
Yeah. It's a tough one. But Ted, if you're listening, you saw it here first. Aliye is coming for you. She's going to do a TED Talk.
We endorse Aliye for a TEDx.
Thank you. I have endorsements now. Oh my gosh. Thank God.
Yeah.
And let's see. Before we wrap up, just Shafuz, you want to share any closing thoughts?
I mean, there's been so much. Aliye, thank you so much. Like, I think a lot of great takeaways about like just like digital storytelling and communication, and it's not just a word, right? There's so much that's about digital storytelling. There's so much about communication, and I just loved some of the examples that you gave about how you went about with your different experiences, like working for like with the little theater, with just working in like the red carpet interviewing Will Smith, and like meeting like some popular classical musicians that Sid and I don't know about, and we clearly need some introduction to it, which is a follow-up. And yeah, I think I found it really awesome, like how you landed all these amazing experiences for yourself. That was powered by your initiatives with storytelling and branding yourself. I think that's something a lot of students and a lot of early professionals don't tap into as much. And I think the opportunities, I think the more doors will open for them. I guess that's one way to put it, through that. And I think you really showed us how it works and why it will open the doors for them. I'm talking a lot of doors.
A lot of doors.
So what do you think?
No, I completely agree. I think it's very interesting because it's every time we have a guest here, it's like a different story and it's like completely different. So I think Aliye is very unique in that sense, where it's been traveling a lot around the world, like having crazy experiences, like you said, on the red carpet and other places. Will Smith, if you're listening, we're huge fans.
Sponsor us. Sponsor us.
Sponsor us.
Right. Yeah.
Invest in us.
But yeah, so I'm gonna bring up the takeaway screen, or like the goodbye screen. We don't have a name yet for it, but we'll name it.
We'll name
it's the Uncorked. It's the core. Never mind.
Aliye, any call to actions from your end?
I would suggest that people sign up for the email list for Careers Uncorked. If you want to hear Sharpuz's email, if you want to hear from him on the reg, do it. People say that on the reg. Okay, it doesn't matter. I said it. I'm bringing it back.
You heard it here first.
First on the reg. yeah, we have a lot of really exciting content coming for you. I really appreciate that you guys wanted to include me. And I think what I was saying before, major takeaway, just start with your LinkedIn, go to a website if you think you're ready for it, and just get some content out there and do what you love. The other thing that I mentioned that's a major takeaway is to keep hitting those LinkedIn DMs and send those cold emails and get those connects, networking, do the thing. If you know how to do it, ask someone. They know how to do it, probably, maybe.
Hashtag slide in those LinkedIn DMs.
Right. Yeah, it's a long hashtag. It's a working hashtag, working title. We're getting through it.
Better. Yeah.
All right. Thanks everyone for attending. We will catch you in our next session on Saturday. Shafuz, you said something?
No, I said I just wanted to say thank you.
Just did a little.
I just said,
Soon we'll be back.
I just wanted to thank you to everyone who tuned in today, and this was a great. This definitely was the highlight of my Wednesday.
Yes, I'm so glad.
All right, thanks everyone for tuning in. Have a great rest of your Wednesday, and we'll catch you guys on Saturday.
Yep. Bye everyone.
Bye.
Yeah. Thank you guys. Thank you everyone. We're shutting down.